All right, guys, Mike Ashmore here, the lead writer for the New Balance Baseball Future Stars Series, powered by Program 15. And look around us, Citi Field for the main event, the fifth installment of International Week / main event. I'm here with the CEO, the face that runs the place, the CEO that runs the show, Jeremy Booth. Here he is. And Jeremy, man, first off, you guys started this thing 5 years ago, and you've talked about kind of the humble beginnings of it at the start. To be at a point where you guys are now, where, again, look around you, look where we are. Guys are taking BP on the field, some of the best amateur talent in the country taking BP on the field at Citi Field in New York City. Man, what does that mean to you?
New York is the biggest sports stage in the world. I mean, that's just a fact. It doesn't mean anything for LA, where I grew up, or Boston, where we spend a lot of time, or even Houston, Texas, which has had some success. But the reality is, man, in New York, like when you perform in New York and you do something, they remember you forever. It's just part of it. There's no forgetting who you are. People aspire to get here, and like the song says, if I make it here, I made it anywhere. And I've always had a good time. I spent a lot of time playing in the, as you well know, the New Jersey, New York,
sure,
part of the country. So, for me, it's special to get back here. There seems to be friends, there seems to be instant connections. People that don't forget you were part of that. Once a member of a team, always. So it's pretty special for these guys to be able to experience New York the way I have.
I know you want to spotlight some of the people who really believed in this from the beginning. Obviously, yourself and Renee and a lot of the longtime staff people who have been here for all 5 years of this. But who's really kind of gotten us to this point?
Well, this wouldn't be happening without New Balance Baseball. New Balance Baseball and Neil Brooks. When we got together in summer of 2016. Really after Program 15 wasn't even a year old. They wanted to do something that had some impact. They wanted to get away from. And look, I'm not known for not saying what's on my mind, so we're just going to go ahead and do it. They wanted to get away from some of the stuff that had to do with the perfect games and the prep baseball reports and the instant showcase model that, frankly, while those guys, respect for, I guess, building what they have and the things they've done that to have helped some players, because they wouldn't, they have been,
sure,
in lots of cases, good for a certain level of kid. When it comes to the total impact, the hands-on, the global part of that, the grassroots, the true grassroots, player development and player evaluation focus, that's what New Balance wanted to do, and they believed in what we're doing. Now, 5 years later, we've gotten to 13 different countries. We have impacted players in the draft. We've impacted players in college baseball. Most importantly, though, we've impacted them as young men. And the idea here was that everybody wasn't going to play in the big leagues and everybody wasn't going to go to college. That's not what's going to happen. It's how do you impact those people to be husbands and fathers, as well as good baseball players, good members of the community. And I feel like we're doing that. I feel like we're accomplishing that goal. I feel like the baseball part has spoken for itself. I feel like there's no replacing. While some groups out there will try to replace this experience and tell you don't need it, the 120 years of experience I just sat with in the clubhouse in pitchers and catchers meetings.
Yeah.
I feel like the Major League Club buy-in, the advisory board, the 28 guys who put their logos next to what we've done, which no one else has that. And they're here, they're impacting, they're talking. These guys are in the ballpark here, this week. To be part of building something better for players is what the game needed. I think New Balance believed in it 100%, and they've done nothing but double and triple down with their commitment. And I look forward to a long relationship with them, and thankful for their support.
All right, there's no denying the impact that the New Balance Baseball Future Stars Series has had on the game, on the amateur game, on everything as a whole. But this event specifically, the amount of kids who've gotten drafted out of here, the amount of kids who have played here and have said what a huge impact this has made on them. And again, what does that mean to you?
I said it yesterday in the clubhouse, and I'm pretty sure it was caught on camera, but let me say it again. I'm not interested in the famous guy right now. I'm interested in the guy that's famous later on when it matters to win real rings and championships. These travel ball trophies are great for the organization. They don't mean anything in what it means for day-to-day life as far as future success. We are teaching players the wrong things by reinforcing it. Now look, the travel ball organizations that we work with, that we allow into our events, I don't believe subscribe to that model that I'm talking about. I think these guys do it different. I think they focus on development, integrity, and character, and developing young men to move on, because they recognize that, for 1% of the 1% that plays in the big leagues, and the 1% that plays professionally, there's a 99% of life that has to be lived beyond that.
Yeah.
So I'm thankful for the organizations that we work with that, and this event is kind of a culmination of those guys coming together. the difference on this side isn't just the development and the hands-on and the identifying the guys that are better later, because most people won't say this because we're selling something in a lot of this, but man, you know, if you're as good as you can be right now, go do something else. And oftentimes, this is the guy that's ranked number 1, 2, 3, 6 right now out of high school that never shows up. Why? Because you're believing in your own press, because you think you're too good for certain things, because you want to go ahead and say, well, I've made it, because you ain't made anything. You haven't made anything, because after this little bubble that you're in, man, it gets a lot tighter. And those of us that have been fortunate to live that in some way, scouting, coaching, minor league baseball, big league baseball, understand that this game is a lot tougher to do than what we're making it out to be in the amateur space, and that's why the impact has been had. You take a guy like Luke Hill last night, or Diego Guevara, who have been flat out ignored, and all of a sudden I got VPs of scouting and player development in the ballpark, or special assistants, talking about this guy's made himself some money. And I'm not saying those two guys in particular, I'm using those guys as examples. So when you're looking forward to what this really event can mean, yeah, you've got your superstars, but those guys that are here that are, quote, amateur superstars, they're going to be amateur superstars in the big leagues. Some of those guys that aren't here, it's because there wasn't an overall fit. It's because some things didn't work out with balancing the schedule together, and other guys that are here that were selected because they're going to be good big leaguers or good professionals later on down the line.
You talked about some of the people who were in the ballpark kind of in the stands tonight. We won't drop too many names, but just in terms of the big league teams and the level of front office personnel that are here, what can you speak to on that?
You know, I tell these guys all the time, the guys that are here to pay them. They're not, you know, it's not. I've never judged it by volume anywhere. I think volume's overrated. I always have. Even when I was doing it, I was like, why do we have 17 guys going to one event? Like, I never understood that. It doesn't make any sense. Man, I want guys in the ballpark who are good evaluators. I want guys in the ballpark who can have some impact, that can see the whole field, that people are going to listen to in a draft room, or listen to when it comes to constructing major league rosters or what their system needs to have, right? Those are the guys that I wanted, first of all, to be when I was a scout, and second of all, what I wanted those guys to be around for. So, you know, when you're putting all that together, we got 50-ish guys here, but man, I sat with some guys last night that I had a triple take on, because I was like, you're here, you know? And it was like, yeah, I'm here. We've got some guys here. So it's a lot of fun to see that. You know, there's some deeper insights besides that. As far as the level of evaluator, it's more about the quality of evaluator, and those guys are here.
Yeah, lastly, at least for me, I'm sure you're going to have some stuff you want to add as well, but it is the Future Stars series after all. So what is the future for this event? What is the future for the series as a whole moving forward?
Well, you know, there's a couple of things that we do that makes this thing unique, and I'm tie that back to the question. One of the things we've been working on here for 5-6 years is a level of player prediction success, right? There's an analytical model we use to that. There is a traditional scouting model we use to that. There's a development focus and funnel that we use to that. That it starts with an IDP, and we, you know, when Jack Mize and I sat down, our media marketing director, and we sat down 5-6 years ago, and we talked about some of the things that I've said that I'll say again now. Some of the levels of player evaluation are just flat out wrong. I said that publicly. I've said that a million times. That's what I was talking about. We've gotten better as an industry with developing individual plans for players to help them, you know, live into a role, but there's still too much throwing stuff against the wall and making it stick. We take the athletic component, we developed a score for that. We take the vision component, for example, which, you know, there's other organizations now, or other, you know, let's call them services, using vision testing now that weren't using them 5-6 years ago. Good for you, you know. But when it comes to how we tie that together, you know, the reality is what does that mean? What does that score give us? What does that mean when it comes to roll? What's the brain function like for a guy when he picks the ball up? How's that cognitive thing going to fire? Like when we developed virtual reality here, right? And what's that mean for hitters as far as pitch recognition and timing and balance and repetition to improve that? We're not against the analytics side of it. We use that to see what we can't see. We can see pitch break. We can maybe not put a number to it, but we can see pitch break, and we can see arm speed. And those numbers are great, but they don't make a pitcher. So how do you tie that together analytically with what their development process is and what their role tells you? Not everybody's the same. Mike Ashmore isn't the same as Jeremy Booth, who's not the same as Jose Silva, who's not the same as Ken Harvey. And each individual player and role has a value. How you tie that together is how you build a club. Every single person on this field has to have value. They don't have any value beyond right now. They should go do something else, whether that's checkers, whether that is chess, whether that's working at driveline. I don't know what that is, but they should be doing something else besides being a baseball player. And if they have role value, if they have the ability to have impact for a club, whether it is in the big leagues, whether it is as an everyday guy or an up and down guy, or even system depth, and they've got something to move on with. And how you build that into what that's going to look like is what we've done here. We developed a model that works. It just does. And it's been pretty correct when it comes to predicting what a player is going to do makeup-wise, and how they're going to move forward in value in the draft and what that means long-term. Christian Rodriguez will be your first test case, right? So tying that back to what the future of this event means, the Mets said to me, and the Red Sox are here in force, by the way, the Mets said to me, if we're going to bring it here to Citi Field, it's got to stay. This event's going to stay in Citi Field. Now, the National Combine has a new home. The Red Sox will definitely be involved. We will talk about that another time. But Fenway Park and Citi Field are two venues we're going to use aggressively as we go forward, and through the partnership of the advisory board and those clubs, and even some partnership with Major League Baseball and the offices, this has a chance to continue to be as different as it's been so far.
Great to hear, man. I've been a part of it since the beginning. Couldn't be happier to have seen it grow into what it is now. Jeremy Booth, CEO that runs the show, the face that runs the place. He's the prez, so I do what he says.
I like that.
Guys, the main event. It's getting ready to get going here. Can't wait. Citi Field, New York City. Let's go. Thanks, guys.